game industry for the past decade on games such as Diablo 3 and Spore, which I've either tried. He's awesome, great game. He's currently the creative director of EA Maxis, where he led the design of the newest SimCity. And please give a warm welcome to Snow.
Thank you for having me here today. My talk's going to be a little different than the other ones. Instead of talking about the real world, I'm pretty much immersed in just a completely virtual world of video games. Last month, our Maxis studio, we released the Cities of Tomorrow expansion pack for SimCity. And our goal was to take the basic simulation that we already had, push it about 25 to 50 years into the future, but we wanted all the technology in the game to be based on ideas that exist today. So before I talk a lot about the new future pack that we have, I want to just do a quick overview of SimCity through the years. It originally came out in 1989. Will Wright created it. And I'm actually curious, raise your hand if you played that original SimCity game. Okay, actually quite a few of you have, great. And now, just to make those guys, if you raise your hand, feel old, who wasn't even born when the first game came out? Okay, just a few of you. All right, so we're not that old yet. So it went through several generations. The last one, SimCity 4, came out 10 years ago. So as you can imagine, the technology has improved quite a bit since the last SimCity 4 game came out. This is what SimCity 1 looked like, and those of you who played it might remember this. A very top-down view, very pixelated, but you still could imagine that it was awesome. SimCity 2000, it actually started to look a little more like a city, but it was all two-dimensional graphics with a fixed view, isometric view. SimCity 3000 just pushed the graphics a little bit, not a big change there. And SimCity 4 kind of opened up the boundaries, made a bigger region that you can play in, but it was still based on that 2D isometric technology. Flash forward 10 years, and this is what we're looking at now. So this is the new SimCity game and how it looks live, rendered in real time for the players to interact with. 3D cameras, you can move all around the space, you can follow little cars around. But as great as this screenshot looks, the game doesn't really show off well until, go back onto the video, until you see it in motion. And we'll take a look at that now. You can see what the game is like. So if you haven't played the base game, I'm going to show that really quickly. And then we'll show off some of the future stuff as well. So what you're looking at here is a big region. This is one of our tropical regions, so there's a bunch of islands. You can choose which island to start your city on. We also have desert regions and mountainous regions and other things to play with. So the player picks some plot of land that they want to build their city. They zoom down in on it. And then usually what you do to start out, you'll just take a road tool. This is a freehand draw road tool, so you can draw whatever you want. There's straight tools for roads and overpasses. By just clicking a button, you can raise the roads or lower them to make tunnels. Arc tools to make perfect circles, hook the whole thing up together and make these networks. Once you build those up, you can start the zoning process. And here, if you played SimCity in the past, green means residential zoning. Of course, you're going to just put in a couple of residential areas here. Blue is for commercial zoning, so we'll put some shops next door to the houses so they can access them easily. Now what you're seeing now in the simulation is every sim in the game is a little agent, and so you actually see the construction truck come into the plot of land that you zone. They'll start building up the houses. When the houses are ready, the sims move into them. And like all good sims, they say, hey, where's our jobs? So I'm zoning here some industrial area for them to move into. And this will have to build up as well over time. And the factories will start to appear. And every little sim will then start to try to route down the highway system that you built down those road networks. So if you've done a bad job of planning your roads, you're going to get traffic jams. Now they have their jobs, so they're not going to stop complaining yet. They still need their power. I'm turning on a data layer here that lets us look at just the power representation in the game. And I'm putting down a wind power plant right now. Again, it won't work until people come and staff it, so you need jobs to make everything work here. And once I get the wind power going, then you'll actually see it flowing down the road through those yellow lines there. As the power starts to spread throughout the grid, people are getting happier still. But they're still upset there's not enough water. So I'm going to go into this data layer here that shows me the aquifer and how that's set up. And then I can put down a water pump somewhere near the water sources. And just like the electricity was flowing around, now you'll start to see the water flow through the pipes and give everybody the water that they need. So all these data layers, the player can turn them on and off interactively. It's like an X-ray vision that you have of your city that you're able to really dig down into. You can see the the population, who's working, who's not, what the school systems are like. This is a little fire that just broke out in our kind of a low density, low wealth area there with a lot of trailer homes and shotgun shacks. So we're putting down a fire station. And the fire station, like a lot of the objects and civic buildings in the game, they're all modular. So the player can decide how big to make them by adding here an extra garage on, or a little bell tower, or flags, things like that. They can create their own buildings, but that'll cost them more money in their budget as the buildings start to get bigger and bigger. And then the firemen arrive, the little sims come out, and they put out the fire and save the day. If I decided not to put down the fire station, that fire could spread and taken out some more houses. All right, so that's kind of the starting of it. This was the base game that we released back in March. After the game came out, switch back to the slides here, players started sending us a bunch of things that they've been working on, and it was really amazing, the creativity that the community was able to come up with. So this is a city based on a spiral. This is a YouTube video that someone made. There's actually thousands of YouTube videos up there, how-to videos, walkthroughs, people just showing off their cities. And this one was, I think it was like 6 hours of gameplay compressed down to 6 minutes, so you could watch it really fast in fast motion. This was a contest we had last spring between some architecture and urban planning students at MIT versus some at NYU. And we got them together in the same region. We thought this would be great that they'll build this utopia because there are all these students, and instead they just built gigantic factories and blew pollution at each other all day. It's good fun. And I'm really proud of the SimCity EDU. It's a grant that we have from the MacArthur Foundation where they're taking SimCity and they're putting it into classrooms so that kids can take the whole game and distill it down to makes 20-minute lesson plans. That the children are able to get ideas about, like, oh, you want to solve pollution? Just bulldoze all the factories. Oh wait, now no one has a job anymore. You're a bad mayor. Give us jobs back. And the kids can start to see that. All right, real quickly, I'll just go through some of the concepts for the future city path. We looked at real-world technologies, but then we kind of brought them and imagined them 25 to 50 years or so. So different types of power, utilities, transportation systems, what transportation of the future might look like, and some of these, like the maglevs, already exist. Manufacturing, like things like fracking, what's that going to be like when we start to dig deeper and deeper into the earth to get our minerals that we need. All right, let's switch over to the Cities of Tomorrow video now. And here's what you're seeing, that same tropical island region, but after about 30 or so hours of gameplay. And I've taken that really low density, low wealth trailer homes, and I've built up what appears on the surface to be this utopia. So it's got the maglev trains moving all around. And this is all, remember, this is not a static model. This is dynamic. The player can go in and adjust this whenever they want. They can blow things up. They can add new things down to it. This particular city is the Green City. This is the Academy, which is our research think tank hub in the middle. And this will give the player access to all the new technologies that I talked about. So here I'm taking a fusion power plant and I'm researching it, which will be available later in the game. And all this technology costs a lot of money. It's got to come from somewhere. The flaw with the Academy and all this research is that it doesn't actually generate any money at all. It just costs you money. So from the player point of view, you've got to fund this stuff somehow. We also added this idea of this thing we call ControlNet, which you can see this kind of blue circle emanating out there. That's this kind of wireless network of the future that binds all these technologies together in a little bit of kind of a 1984 type way. The little undercurrent of the game is that who's really controlling this technology. This is a sewage sanitizer that I mentioned in the previous slide. They actually have these today where they can take sewage water and they can make pure drinking water out of it. But not surprisingly, nobody wants to drink that water, even though it's pure drinking water. But we imagine in the future you'll have no choice. To fund the Academy City, this is what we call Omega City. And this is a mysterious material that we've invented called Omega. We never explain it in the game. That's up to the players to decide. And so you start to build this Omega, and you're more of an evil kind of corporate takeover giant. And you're giving them this Omega, which is very flammable and destructive and has all sorts of bad qualities to it. Yet all the citizens in the game want more. If you stop producing it, they actually will complain and say, hey, where's our Omega? Give us more. Here you can see it starting to spread the Omega chain as it goes from factories down to stores and to houses. You can also build drones. These drones here, at the time, were like, hey, we're 25 years in the future. There'll be drones delivering packages. And now I find out we're only 2 years away, next to the Amazon announcement that just came out. So here's a law drone looking around for criminals, trying to stop crime from the air. Omega, like I said, it's very hazardous. The brown you're seeing is the pollution data layer, showing the ground pollution. But I'm going to use some of the Academy technology, this is a ground scrubber, to take that pollution and then push it up into the air and turn it into air pollution, which doesn't really solve the problem, but it makes you feel good about it for a while. We also give you air scrubbers, which rain it back down as ground pollution. So we take care of everything. This is where the people work. This is another little city nearby. And these are what we call mega towers. And the idea here would be that we can keep building structures taller and taller as we go. So these are built up level by the player. They can choose what they want in each level. At the bottom of this one, there's some apartments and then some shops and malls for them, and some offices that they can work in. Now I'm going to add in a skybridge station, and this will let me connect my mega tower up to other mega towers, and the fortunate elite that happen to live up in these things never need to go down to the ground with the common people. They can just travel from building to building in peace and safety. The last little part here is a crown that I'm putting on. There's several crowns to choose from. In this city, we use the solar power crown on the top. Finally, this last little bit, the fusion power plant is now ready to go. We've researched this. I'm going to mow down these houses to build our new technology. And this will give us green, clean power forever. There's a little trick to it, though, gameplay-wise, which is that you can't just start a fusion reaction out of the air. You need power to bootstrap it. So in this case, we had to build a giant coal power plant just to get enough power to start the ignition. This is actually based on real-world technology at the National Ignition Facility, where they're right on the verge of actually making sustainable fusion reactions. So this is the final city all built up, and different ways you can play the game. It's completely open-ended for players to mix and match combinations. So you can make these like terrible Blade Runner greedy cities, or you can make beautiful utopias. And then I'll end it there. I just wanted a quick thank you to the team at Maxis. So even though I'm up here presenting this game, it's not my work. It's the work of 100 people, programmers, artists, network engineers, and a lot of QA. So thank you all for watching. Have a good conference.